Picture this. It's late at night. The house is quiet. You're getting ready for bed, maybe scrolling your phone one last time before turning off the light. And then you notice your cat standing perfectly still in the middle of the room, staring at the wall. Not moving, not blinking, just watching something that, as far as you can tell, isn't there. If you've ever had that moment, and if you have a cat, you almost certainly have, you probably laughed it off. Maybe you said something like, "What is wrong with you?" and went back to your phone. But deep down, for just a second, something in you wondered, what do they see? What do they hear? Is there something in that wall that I'm completely missing? Here's the thing. That question you pushed aside? It turns out it's one of the most fascinating questions in feline behavior. And the answers, the real ones, go much further than most cat owners ever imagine. Because your cat isn't broken. They're not having a strange moment. Something is happening in that still, focused gaze that reveals just how different your cat's experience of the world truly is. And by the time this video is over, you will never look at that blank wall the same way again. Let's start with the most obvious explanation. But don't stop there, because this is just the beginning of the story. Cats can hear things we simply cannot. The human ear picks up sounds at frequencies between roughly 20 and 20,000 hertz. That already feels like a wide range. But a cat's, and hearing extends all the way up to 65,000 hertz. In practical terms, that means your cat can hear the high-pitched scratching of a mouse moving inside a wall, the faint rustle of an insect crawling through a crack, the tiny skittering movements of something living in a space you didn't even know could be a space. While you stand in a quiet room and hear nothing, your cat is tuned into an entire frequency range you have no access to. So when your cat stares at the wall, there's a very real chance that something is actually there. Something small, something hidden, something moving just beyond the plaster. Their ears are rotating. You've probably noticed how a cat's ears swivel and tilt independently of each other, picking up signals with a precision that would make professional audio equipment look basic. That focused stare isn't confusion, it's concentration. It's a hunter locked onto a target. But what most owners don't realize is that hearing is only part of the picture, because cats don't just hunt with their ears, they hunt with their entire body. And what's happening when they stare isn't just listening, it's a full sensory integration, a kind of mental simulation of what might happen next. Scientists who study predator behavior describe this as predatory fixation, and in cats it is deeply, almost involuntarily instinctive. Even the most pampered indoor cat, the one who has never caught a single thing in its life and eats from a ceramic bowl with its name on it, still carries the full hunting wiring of its wild ancestors. That wiring doesn't turn off just because the prey is inside a wall. And this is where it gets interesting, because vision plays a role here too, and in a way that might genuinely surprise you. Cats see motion at a level that is almost supernatural compared to humans. Their eyes contain a much higher density of rod cells, the cells responsible for detecting movement and low-light detail, than ours do. Where we might see a solid, unchanging wall, a cat might perceive the faintest vibration in the surface, the subtlest shift in shadow caused by something moving just on the other side. Things that are completely invisible to us might be, to them, small but detectable clues. There's also something called the tapetum lucidum, a reflective layer at the back of a cat's eye that amplifies available light. It's the reason cat eyes glow in photographs, and it means that in a dark room, a cat's eyes are gathering light and detail that ours are simply not capable of processing. That wall you're looking at in the darkness might be genuinely different to your cat, subtle, alive with microinformation, something your visual system just isn't built to read. So picture your cat standing there in the low light of your hallway, ears forward, eyes dilated and gleaming, completely still. That's not an animal staring at nothing. That's a precision sensory instrument doing exactly what it was built to do. But here's the thing, and this is the part that really opens up the conversation. Not every wall-staring episode comes back to prey, not by a long shot. Cats also stare at walls during something researchers call microsleep. Just like humans sometimes drift into very brief moments of light sleep without fully closing their eyes, cats can enter a kind of suspended, half-aware state where their body is still, but their brain is partially processing. They may look like they're staring at something intensely, but they're actually in a soft mental pause, resting their nervous system without fully going offline. In these moments, cats sometimes react to their own internal brain activity, to flickers of memory or instinct playing out in the space behind their eyes. Animal behavior researchers have noted that cats in this semi-alert state can appear to track or follow something that no one else in the room can perceive. It isn't a hallucination in any distressing sense. It's more like dreaming with your eyes open. The wall is just where their gaze landed. And there's something quietly beautiful about that, if you think about it. Your cat, standing in your living room, somewhere between waking and dreaming, chasing something in the space between their thoughts, still hunting, still alive with instinct, even in stillness. Something deeper is happening here when we talk about cats and their relationship to spaces, and it connects to something that researchers have studied seriously. Cats are intensely attuned to the energy and patterns of their environment in ways that go beyond simple sensory input. Cats are creatures of habit and spatial memory. They build a detailed mental map of every room they live in. They know where the light changes at different hours. They know which corners are drafty. They know the difference between the sound of the refrigerator settling and the sound of someone opening the front door 3 streets away. They are, in the truest sense, experts on the space they inhabit. What this means is that when something is subtly different, when there's a faint vibration in the walls from pipes settling, when air pressure shifts before weather changes, when an electrical wire hums at a frequency just beyond human hearing, your cat notices immediately. And they don't just notice and move on, they investigate. They hold their gaze on the source of the anomaly, processing, deciding whether it's a threat, whether it's prey, whether it requires action. What most owners interpret as their cat losing it or being weird is actually their cat doing something extraordinary. They are reading the room in a language you don't have the sensory equipment to understand. And the stillness of that stare, that's not absence of thought. That's intense, focused, silent analysis. There's one more layer to this, and I want you to stay with me here, because this one hits a little differently. There's a growing body of research into how animals, including cats, may respond to infrasound. Infrasound is sound that exists below the frequency threshold of human hearing, below 20 hertz. It's produced by earthquakes, severe weather, large machinery, and certain geological shifts. Humans can't hear it, but we sometimes feel it as a vague unease or disorientation. Animals, however, appear to perceive it far more acutely. You may have heard stories of animals behaving strangely before earthquakes or natural disasters. Cats pacing, staring, acting restless for no visible reason. Scientists have debated for decades whether animals are truly sensing these infrasound signals in advance of seismic events. The evidence isn't definitive, but it's not nothing either. There is enough there that researchers continue to investigate it seriously. So when your cat stands at the wall in the early hours and stares with that particular frozen intensity, the kind that lasts longer than usual, the kind that makes the hair on your arm stand up just a little, there is a small but real possibility that they are responding to something in the physical world that you are genuinely not equipped to detect, something in the frequencies beneath your hearing, something that hasn't announced itself yet. I'm not saying that to frighten you. I'm saying it because it reframes something. Your cat is not separate from the world. They are woven into it in ways that go deeper than you can see. They are connected to signals and frequencies and subtle environmental information that most of us have never even thought to look for. And this brings us to something that ties all of this together, something about what it actually means to live with a creature this finely tuned. We share our homes with cats and we treat them like small, fluffy companions who need feeding and the occasional cuddle. And they are that. They absolutely are. But they are also something else entirely. They are sensory beings of remarkable sophistication, carrying millions of years of evolutionary precision in their compact little bodies. Every flick of their ear, every tilt of their head, every slow and silent stare at a wall that looks empty to you. All of it is a window into a version of the world that runs parallel to yours, but is richer in frequencies, richer in detail, richer in information. You look at a wall and see plaster and paint. Your cat looks at that same wall and hears heartbeats, feels vibrations, tracks movement, reads the room in a language older than words. The next time your cat goes still and locks their gaze onto something you can't see, try not to laugh it off quite so fast. Sit with the moment, watch them, notice the way their ears shift, notice how their pupils change, notice the quality of their stillness, because it's not emptiness, it's presence. It's attention at its most pure. Your cat isn't seeing ghosts, they're seeing the world, just more of it than you can. And honestly, there's something wonderful about sharing your home with a creature who lives in that expanded version of reality, quietly, patiently, standing at the wall while you sleep, sensing things you'll never fully understand, and doing it all in complete, magnificent silence. If this made you look at your cat a little differently, share it with someone who's ever been unsettled by that late-night wall stare. And if you want to keep going deeper, why your cat knocks things off tables, what it actually means when they slow blink at you, and the hidden reason they always sit on whatever you're trying to read, there's a lot more where this came from.